Ms. Knight will be here at approximately 7 o'clock. Both public hearings will start at 7 o'clock. Going over the agenda real quick. Minutes for February 11th, the regular section, the work session, and the executive session. You've had those before you. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. Presentations, Morrow Police Department. Are those presentations going to be in a work session, or are they going to be in the regular session?
The regular session.
Okay. So we'll have a presentation by the Morrow Police Department announcing a recertification for the state of Georgia, police chief state certification. Presentation to Major Woodall. Presentation to Ms. Tracy. 2 public hearings, new business. Consideration to approve the Public Works Department recommendation for the purchase of 2 vehicles. Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and citizens, and city staff. This is a presentation put forth by the Public Works Department that is as you recall, they were approved for 2 new vehicles in this fiscal budget. Those vehicles are pickup trucks that are a little hard to come by. Their basic price on those, after you add on the needed 4x4 options and the super cab and the length of the cab bed that we would need, would end up being $53,283 a piece. They're also a little difficult to come by still with supply issues and government pricing. What they've opted to do is look for 2 used vehicles. Both of those in there are listed, and I think you all have the layout for those. It's got a limited warranty on it as well, but both of those vehicles have some mileage on them. They're used, and they would include a 20. Let's see, what am I doing? They would include a 2021 vehicle, it's a Ford F-150 XLT, and that's $32,998, and a 2022 Ford F-150 XLT in the amount of $37,998. Both of those are 4x4s. One has a 5.5 foot bed, one has a 6.5 foot bed, and it would be quite ample for them to get around and do what they need to do. So that would present a savings of roughly $30,000 when you go to the add-ons for the new vehicles. So they have a limited warranty, and all the specifications on those are listed in there. Both of them have been ASE certified technician inspected and come with an additional limited warranty.
Questions? Mr. Quater.
No question.
Ms. Dean.
6-cylinder, what did you say, 6 cylinders?
Yes, ma'am, they're both V6.
Ms. Wynn.
No question.
And your recommendation is to purchase those 2?
Yes, sir, I do recommend that. Those are both good vehicles. One is in North Carolina that they would have to go get, and then the other one is local with Enterprise. And,
So the fund is in the budget?
oh, yes, it is. It would be out of the, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that would be out of the Public Works approved budget for their vehicle.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item 2, consideration to approve the city manager's recommendation to appoint David Roas to the Planning and Zoning Board for a term of 5 years. And to reappoint Ms. Bonita Crawford. Hello, Ms. Bonita. Good to see you. To the Development Authority Board for a term of 4 years. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Consideration to approve the Planning and Zoning Board recommendation. That's going to be part of the conditional use that you hear tonight. Ordinances and resolutions. This is obviously going to be the 3rd public hearing, and then after that, the city of Morrow, unless something changes, is going to be in the final section, and that's to adopt the opt-out process for OCGA 48.5, 42.2, and you'll have a chance to have that as a public hearing as well. Are there other questions, comments? Anybody? All right. We will take a short recess. We got some coffee in here somewhere, unless you got something else, Baker?
No, sir. That's it.
All right, then we will have our public hearings as scheduled in the 7 o'clock. Both of those were published, and one is related to homestead exemption, and one is conditional use for their name Jones County. So we'll see you at 7. Mr. Victor, you got some good coffee over there, something? All right.
Wow, he's on
Ms. Knight will be here with us, and the first part of the public hearing, of course, is public comments. So we're going to take the one that's going to stay open the longest, which is going to be related to, hello, my city attorney. How you doing out there, sir? Good to see you again. So this will be the more boring one that we've already had 2 public hearings on. So we'll start with that. I'll probably open them both at the same time. In other words, we'll open them because we advertise them at 7, and we'll close the one for the city at last.
Apparently the other one was at 7:30.
Which one's at 7?
zoning one.
Zoning one's at
Yeah.
7? Well, it's even a bonus. All right, so you'll have to talk really slow and use the entire 25 minutes. But go ahead, Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir. I believe everyone has a copy. Everyone I see in the room was here at previous meetings. We do have a summary sheet for House Bill 581. There's nothing new on this one. Our intent is to opt out of that. I'll be reading a resolution during the actual session that will enumerate that for us, that we choose to do so because we feel like this is there's more flexibility for us at Home Rule to be able to do the things we do. We already have a $200,000 homestead exemption that we did ahead of time because of the foresight of the mayor and council. We enacted that. The problem being, and I don't feel like it's addressed, is the fact that it's the assessed values that are piling on and skyrocketing in assessments. That was not addressed in the bill. There is some other entanglements we've gone through before with the PowerPoint behind me, where you would be essentially tied to a 5-year cycle on this. It would be tied to a CPI rating that would be determined by the State Department of Revenue. And some of those comments are it reduces taxes that the city can collect and create a need to raise millage taxes, at a millage rate rather, and the city has to look for other ways to increase the revenue. Tax burden shifts from residential properties to more commercial and industrial properties, and there's less incentive for homeowners to sell their homes. One of the other things that we've discussed also is the fact that it is more of an unfair tax. You would add a 1% tax if that was possible, which is not now possible. Every city and the county and the county itself has to agree to do this in order to enact the FLOSS, which is the floating local option sales tax. As Jonesboro dropped out, the county dropped out, there's Lake City and Forest Park have also opted out of this. That's not going to be a feasible option anyway, but that would have had to gone to a vote in the referendum of the voters of the county, and that would have imposed 1% sales tax on top of the other 1% sales tax that we have on 1 cent sales tax that we have on the T-SPLOST, the school, the MARTA tax that we already pay. So as you see those taxes, it seems like a penny, no big deal, they keep adding up, and then pretty soon we're higher tax than anybody around us, and don't feel like we're delivering the services that merit that type of taxation. So at that, I would open the floor to any questions. We'll turn it over to the mayor.
All right, so good news about a public hearing. We're going to listen to y'all first. Third time out, now y'all were really quiet the first 2, so we're expecting, Laura, good to see you, sir. How things going? Let's see how it goes. So comments from the audience.
I think I forgot to mention one salient point, is that it does not affect any of your current homestead exemptions whatsoever. Whether we opt in or out, they don't change at all, so please be silent.
You know, when you give the government a hair, they're gonna take 10 miles. And when they get into your business, they never release that. So when it sounds good, it's awful. It's terrible.
You mean those other companies?
Yes, not this government, not this, because we're all involved. You know, we live here, we work here, we play here, we have, I don't have children, but I have dogs.
Yeah, Victor.
So, you know, if somebody gets into your business, they're gonna just mess you up. And they never release it. So, to me, when I first heard it, I thought, oh, this is not bad. But when you get into the nitty gritty, and the grass starts growing tall, it's gonna take you down. And I for myself say, no, we need to say, we opt out. Thank you.
Any other comments? Comments from the city council? Ms. Knight.
You got
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. Ms. Cherry, go ahead.
Okay, let's see, I think I've been to about 7 of these meetings, and it's still quite unclear. But I've been told that if everybody in the county doesn't opt out, nobody can opt out. Now, is that true or not?
If one entity opts out, it's over. Then that's already
Jonesboro
happened.
supposedly opt out.
I'm sorry.
Jonesboro is opting in to go with the program.
Right.
Everybody else appears to be not
Opting
going
out.
with it.
That's correct. But if any one party of the 7 opts out, it's over.
So they're opting in.
Yep, that just means Jonesboro says yes, Morrow says no, Clayton County says no. And
So
that's just,
do we then not have to go by these rules? Or-
well, not necessarily by these rules, but what's the harm of having the public hearing, even though, in other words, another party's already opted out, so we could say here and go, we don't have to do this, and the city attorney can recommend it. But you're like, as we opt out, you know, we want to hear from the public. We obviously know several people, a lot of people actually, are upset with the amount of property taxes they're paying.
Right.
Yeah,
We
and,
are.
and that's the crux of what's happening, which is it's good, not for that reason that you think it's good, because that's what holds people accountable, right? So when you have stagnant growth in your county, you don't have, the right leadership in your county and different things like that, this is what happens, right?
Okay, I'm still.
But it's on a statewide level. Okay, go ahead.
We're opting out,
Yes,
but Jonesboro opted to stay with the program. Does that mean that all of Clayton County still can be out except for Jonesboro?
they're done.
They're not what?
Jonesboro
In other words, it's just an opinion. It's like 5 people in there, and you say you have to have 5 people. 1 says yes, 4 say no. All you needed was
Or
1 to
Paper
say no.
said that they
Yeah.
were not going to.
There's two parts of the bill,
Mhm.
and the first part is the exemption, and everyone has to make a choice, otherwise you're in. The second part is the tax. And if one opts out, if any one jurisdiction in the locale opts out, then you don't get the tax. But everyone else, you can popcorn out in and out, and it just, Jonesboro will have the exemption limits placed in this bill placed upon them. Tomorrow, if you opt out, you'll be subject to whatever your locale, this governing body prescribes. So it's just home rule kind of deal. Jonesboro apparently opting in is electing to fall under the terms of the bill and how that assesses their homestead exemption or their calculation of that. So I think it gets confusing, and that's part of the problem with this whole bill, is it's confusing in itself and what it applies to and how it operates. It's just not very good. So that's why you're here today, and I think you have to affirmatively opt out to be out, but if you do nothing, it considers you in.
Correct.
Okay, so then does it affect our county taxes? Or what we do with the county is?
No, so, and that was right what the mayor said, if Morrow opts out, nothing changes for you in Morrow. It stays as it is right now. Jonesboro might have a different effect based on whatever happened with the bill, but nothing happens in Morrow
So-
opting out.
All right, Clayton County's opting out, so nothing changes.
Yeah, nothing
in the
changes
county.
in Clayton County either. It stays the way it is currently, is what status is.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments from the audience? All right, none. Ms. Knight?
No comment.
Mr. Quam?
No comments.
Ms. Dean?
No comment.
Ms. Nguyen?
No comment.
Oh, come on, we gotta have at least a little bit of fun with this. Here's why I think it's a poorly written bill, and I think my understanding is there's been a new bill that's been submitted, and it's been like modified 4 times already, and hadn't even made it out of committee yet.
Yes, I've heard that, and I think they're trying to tackle the issues that they made themselves in the bill. And
But
they
it's,
would like to address it.
if the state legislature wants to do it, then that would be a state legislative prerogative, and it has to be approved by the governor, and then you get to vote on whatever it is the state does. That's their job. On this one, the state's basically trying to tell home rule people like us what we're supposed to do that's good for you. And those people don't even live here, right? So if Rome, Georgia, which is where one of the, you know, the leaders is putting this stuff together, whose own county doesn't agree with him, you know, thinks it's good for him, you know, because they're looking at it going, well, I'm just gonna force you to do it. Yeah, that won't, right? But here's my bigger problem with it, is I want the pressure from you to be able to sit there and go, your leadership has to have economic development, because that is the real answer. In this case, we're just simply saying, we're gonna take his money and give it to you. There's no new money on the table. I'm just making you pay an additional sales tax, your groceries are going up, and I'm simply giving it to you. And we didn't have to do anything. I just stole it from him and gave it to you. Isn't that great? Hoping that you're gonna vote at a higher percentage than him, right? Now, if you do that across the whole state, I'm not sure how that works out, but that's the beauty of it. But that's terrible, right? You know, what you should be looking at is all that pressure should be, what are you gonna do to make your county better, right? To make it more desirable to live in. You know, if you can create additional tax base, new construction that isn't here before, that's new money that wasn't here, right? And that money, basically by default, has the ability to lower your property taxes. Just a fact, right? So it's very basic economics 101, and they're not following that. They're just simply saying, how can I get that pressure off of me? And if I can steal it from him and make you happy, wonderful, right? That's terrible politics, but you know, they wouldn't be trying to readdress it. And then I did hear today from a pretty stellar lawyer out of Sandy Springs, that really, his main focus behind it was the school systems tax. That's where he was the most irritated, because the school system has a 20 mil tax, and that's where they were trying to get the biggest bang. And my understanding is no school system in the state of Georgia is opting in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of one yet.
Right, so think about it. That was your target. If you're a legislator and you're all out there trying to legislate, you're saying, okay, my target is the school system. We're not the school system, right? Did you work with the school system? Because all of them said, thank you, but no. Yeah. And remember, counties are heavily reliant on residential homes for property values. Marla's not. Roughly 15% of our tax digest comes from total property tax, not just a section, right? So we also have, and you guys voted for, a $200,000 homestead exemption. So we've already provided some of that at your request. So if you own a $200,000 home in Marla, you pay us zero. Right? So that's a pretty good deal. A lot of other places don't have that. Right? So you can see that. Now, does that stop any county from going in and asking the state legislator to do the exact same thing we did? It's local legislation. No. Any one of them can do that. Yeah. So there are other options on the table that, that would, each county or each area should decide for themselves. And in this case, they're just trying to do a blanket, deal that says, is it going to be good for you? This city produces roughly $9.5 million of sales tax. Our total property tax that we receive back, this is Walmart and everybody's, 2.6 million, roughly. Okay. So again, as I said at one of the last hearings, I'll give you a quarter for every dollar you'll give me, as much as you want. Right? Nobody would take that deal. Why is that good for us? It's not. The other one doesn't start till 7:30. Other comments, concerns?
I might just offer that whatever happens in the state assembly now, if they put out a new bill and offer it up again for another referendum, you guys got a precursor into what it actually does. So read that, if it comes out, to be sure what you're voting for, because I think the paragraph they gave on what you vote didn't exactly say what the bill said. It said, so it's important to kind of read it if you can, or ask advice from your staff.
One of the other things to notice is each county, even though the rules are theoretically the same, you could be up in Cobb County, and I promise you their assessments are probably a little bit higher than what the market is available for sale, residentially. So let's say you could actually sell your house for $350,000 or $400,000. Let's just pick it up for $400,000. Their assessment is $405,000. You're really pushing it. Most of us in this room, we may not like the assessment we got from Clayton County, but it's not right there. So those that are pushing the envelope, you can see why there's that extra pressure. Here, you know, to be honest, Clayton County is a little slow. And that works to your advantage in this particular case. And then we know there's senior exemptions, there's veterans exemptions and things like that, so. Other comments? We're good?
Good.
We'll close the public hearing and we will reconvene at 7:30, correct? City Council to order. If you will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Approval of the minutes for the February 11th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, work session minutes, and executive session minutes. You've had those before you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Quah?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wynn?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm going to move presentations because we got a public hearing that was supposed to be at 7:30, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're going to open a public hearing, and would you explain that, Mr. Baker?
One more time.
Mr. Marty, would you like to come up?
No, this is the condition of use.
I'm going to introduce Ms. Marty Tracy here. This is a conditional use request for 3000 Corporate Center Drive, Morrow, Georgia 30260. Property is zoned for general business, BG. The applicant, AmeriPro EMS LLC. City council meeting will be held at the Morrow Municipal Complex. This is a hearing we're doing on that order. So, explain what happened.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Good morning. I'm already there. Good evening.
Good evening.
Did you all get a copy of the packet for this? We had our planning and zoning meeting last Tuesday. And it's regarding 3000 Corporate Center. In the packet, was there anything confusing to anyone? Because I know there were some items that they were doing that they are now asking for conditional use. So they have an administrative office, and AmeriPro has an administrative office and a call center at the building. This was made with the stipulation on the occupancy permit that no transport vehicles would be on the property. But then they
So the
started,
conditional use is specific to the vehicles on the house.
that's when it becomes an actual ambulance service opposed to an administrative office. And
The storage of that type of vehicle traditionally goes under a light manufacturing use in the city of Walk through planning.
any exterior parking vehicles for the commercial use
And the
is,
particular property is OI zone.
I'm sorry,
The particular property is OI zone, office institutional.
no, it's
General business.
general business. In our comprehensive plan for the general business, offices and professional use is one of the uses we strive for. So looking forward, parking vehicles, storage vehicles, washing vehicles is not a use that is consistent with our comprehensive plan. So that was one thing. Also, Chairman Collins was concerned that they have continued to maintain non-compliant conditions in more than 2 months that they have had to remove those vehicles from the property.
But in their original permit, it was not allowed
It
as
states,
a portion
and of
of
the copy in the packet, it states,
Yeah, I just want the audience to
yeah, that
hear.
no transport vehicles would be parked on property.
Approximately how many vehicles are they having on the property?
Today, did you get them today?
I'm putting an amendment.
I'm in five today, and they still have about 18 ambulances. Unfortunately, and fortunately, I had the opportunity to see what a couple of the other tenants had mentioned concerns about. One of the ambulances had pulled up in the traffic lane, and there was not a driver, and the back doors were open. These are things that is concerning when you've spoken with people, but they continue to do what they shouldn't be doing. The hose for the wash the cars is still not pulled up. So those are some reasons why staff recommendation is denied. And the board also, voted to recommend denial of conditional use.
Did the property owners themselves appear at the public hearing?
No,
Or at the-
no.
Is the
All-
property owners for this particular building here tonight?
Just the tenants.
Just, yeah. No questions?
Questions? Ms. Knight?
So kind of building on what the mayor was just asking, so on AmeriPro Health letterhead, the property owner lent their support for the variance
For the conditional use.
on AmeriPro letterhead?
Yes.
Okay.
Other comments? Mr. Kwok?
No comment.
Ms. Dean?
Yes, in some of the packet information here, in the original contract, this business has been operating how long at that location?
The first tenancy was for the call center. And in the permit, it stipulated my conversations with the representative from AmeriPro was no transport vehicles can be parked on the property. And if I was assured that it was no transport vehicles, and gosh, 6 to 8 months after that, they called to see about getting an additional business license. And it's the same use as office use as the other one. So, and with this at Corpus Center, it has a CO for the whole building. So since it's the same folks who use the same tenant occupancy permit to facilitate the occupancy of suite 1, 4, and 5. So they still couldn't have vehicles. We had a phone call, and I can't say that I remember exactly what was said in that phone call, because it's been a year since the phone call. However, in my email to Mr. Turbin, who's unable to be here tonight because it's his anniversary, in that email, I used the words, because you are simply acting in office. So, sounds to me like there would be that obvious discussion because it's, and also, Mr. Turbin's email said, we are adding suite 145 after the conversation. So, there could have been some misunderstanding, but any misunderstanding does not negate the requirement for conditional use.
And so they've been in this building, have
Since,
leased this building for how long?
A portion of the building, it's not.
Portion of,
Yeah,
the
they-
office space.
They can behind.
Over a year,
The occupancy certificate says, date issued January 2022.
2022.
Yeah, that was for 160 and Suite 160 and 1223 for Suite 145. Once they moved it in, I don't know, when all those vehicles came in, but fortunately, someone reported them.
They also have a current court citation for being in violation of the zoning code, right?
I haven't issued citations.
I can't state definitively that they were, but I believe there was at least warnings issued.
So of the business license,
What has occurred is, and I have to be nipples if, you know.
No, fair enough, we're just
choose
asking a
one
question.
further, but
so
they start the process very quickly, and I instructed all the vehicles have to be moved.
So the business license that's issued, right, without getting into gross receipts, that's why we
But
can't.
if this had not been brought to our attention, to the city's attention, they probably would still not have a business license, because they didn't apply for one until this particular.
So they
process.
operated 3 years without a business, or 2 years without a
Yeah.
business license. Right.
Yes.
When they did apply for a
They
business
did
license.
receive this paperwork
Okay.
to do it, but they didn't,
Do they have a current business license now?
they didn't.
How many employees do they say they have under that business license?
I don't know what that was told on the paperwork, but I'm being told 25 in that recent email.
Yeah, I got an email yesterday stating they had 25 employees. RJ, do you recall the amount? Okay. Major Woodall, do you recall any citations issued?
Affirmative, we have.
Okay, I thought so.
All right, so there's pending court case.
So, Mayor, this photo right here,
They wash vehicles in the parking lots.
so is that allowed?
No,
No,
Okay.
that's not allowed anymore. I mean, that's joking.
these are.
All right, gentlemen, you're up. Please feel free to come to the mic. It's, good question and answer time. You're gonna have the ability to answer the questions from the city council. I'm gonna start off.
Could you say your name, please?
Thomas McEntee.
Okay, so you're the tenant,
Yes, sir.
and what position do you hold with this company?
Chief Administrative Officer,
Okay, how long you been with the company?
2 years.
And so that means you would have started at this location?
I work primarily under the Dunwoody office.
Okay, so you've been at the Dunwoody office, do they park vehicles there?
We do.
You did. What zoning classification do they have for that?
I don't know exactly with the zoning, but it is compliant.
Is it an office complex like this one, or is it a warehouse?
It's different, it's more like an office, it's a single-story buildings. It's not a multi-story like the one in Laurel, but it's a combination use. There are other tenants in the Dunwoody property that have vehicles stored on site.
Can you tell me what the zoning classification is?
No,
Could you explain why you don't have a business license for 2 years?
we were under the impression, because, as was just stated, we were leasing space in that building, and then we were leaving another location and needed to relocate. And so we decided to expand into the space adjacent to where we were already renting, and just move the business there. No reason why we didn't apply for a business license, other than we thought because we were already doing business there with the call center and the dispatch center, that we were compliant.
So the buildings you're in, there's 3 Class A office buildings in the city of Marl. One's on Addison Parkway, technically 4.
I'm sorry, could you
I said there's 3 Class A office buildings in the city of Marl. We're a small city. So you got one on Addison Parkway. There's 2, where you're at, Corporate Center 1,000, Corporate Center 3,000, and Corporate Center 4,000 was a single floor building, right? An average price for a Class A office space along that line. It's probably gonna be somewhere in that $35 to $38 a square foot range. And the owner of that property is listing that particular floor at about $12 a square foot.
The landlord approached us when we were discussing that we needed to expand and to relocate one of our operations, logistics centers. And he encouraged us to occupy the space. In fact, told us, we've got this big parking lot at the end of, on the end of the building, and you can, park your vehicles there. And they made renovations to the building to allow us to receive deliveries and, move material in and out of the building, with dollies and carts and that sort of thing.
So you're restocking the ambulances out of that location?
Yes. Yeah. So we
Very much a light manufacturing use, per our code. Right, not general business, not office, but light manufacturing.
Right. We don't want to be out of compliance. We were made aware that we were non-compliant. We had more vehicles stored there. We moved a number of them off and moved them up to Dunwoody. And so then it was recommended we go through the process of applying for the special use, and that's what we did. If the decision of the council is to, deny the permit, then the only thing that we ask is a reasonable amount of time to vacate the property. We signed a 5-year lease, so now we have to negotiate that. And then we have to find another place to locate and ready that location. So just if we could have some amount of patience with us to vacate the property in an orderly way. It's going to be expensive for us, but we didn't enter into this with any malice or any effort to try and sort of not be forthright with the city.
So you don't agree that it was written in there that you couldn't have them in the first place?
I'm sorry?
You didn't agree that it was not written that way in the first place? In other words, we specifically said don't do it?
There was confusion about when we expanded from, and it was just alluded to, when we expanded from the call center and dispatch space to the more operation space, we thought it was permitted. And then once we were notified that it wasn't, we followed recommendations to try and get into a compliant state. But and we are where we are here. So when we were initially told we had too many vehicles on site, we said, okay, and in fact our application for the use exception is that we needed to store, somewhere between, we deploy about 10 ambulances a day from that location. So we needed to be able to store those 10 plus another 5 or 6. And there were other vehicles that come and go during the course of the day. But we significantly reduced the number of vehicles that were stored there, and we moved those to another location.
Fair enough. Let me ask the city council, start asking questions. Ms. Knight.
I do hear the tone of what you're telling us today, but again, I guess with the information that was provided to us, it's reading commercial occupancy and showing description of work, it's showing very clearly that no transport vehicles were to be kept on the property. So I guess, we kind of have to cling to that point because that was a part of the paperwork that came from the city.
Correct.
Questions?
And that was related to the first property rented there.
And then through the second portion of the property that you rented, there was not sufficient follow-up to be in compliance with a business permit and the like. So,
Correct. It would seem that way, yes.
Mr. Quah.
So you mentioned that whether if we it is not complying to our permit, so you need the amount of time to relocate your company or your location. I mean, how long would that be so we can have an idea in mind?
Go ahead and answer.
Please.
Okay. 6 to 9 months.
Thank you.
Ms. Dean.
Yes, sir. When was the first time that you understood or was told that you were not in compliance with your original contract?
We were, I forget the exact, it was new in January, we were issued a notice, summons of some sort, we were non-compliant.
22, 23, 24, 25?
Just as within months, it was still in the last few months.
Ms.
we were
Martin,
notified
go ahead.
that we were non-compliant. And that's when we began the process of applying for the special use permit.
But it's the end of November.
Of
November?
24?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as far as the owner of the property, they did not know that your contract was not in compliance when you started moving the vehicles there?
We made it clear what our use of the building was gonna be when we entered into the lease with the building owner. And they didn't advise us, that it was not going to be compliant.
They,
So we-
not at all, ever?
No,
Yeah, I just wanna.
no, we didn't. So then we were very clear about what we were going to be using the building for.
But it's not the owner's responsibility to come into compliance, it's yours.
Right, because after you changed, your original space that you were occupying, you didn't think that
Right.
you needed to come back to the city and find out
Right.
if you were still in compliance or not.
Yeah, and again, that was an oversight on our part. We were just, assuming, and that was the wrong thing to do.
Thank you.
Ms. Nguyen.
No question.
Mayor. 8 employees.
8. 20 vehicles and 8 people.
And in the email, you told 25 employees, but they reported they had 8 employees.
So when you did finish your business
So when was
license?
that report?
January.
Well, I guess right around the end of the year because.
When you say the end of the year, end of this year. In other words, we ask you to get a business license. In your business license, we ask you kind of gross receipts and how many employees you have, and the amount of business license tax that you pay for it is based on the number of employees and your gross revenue. So even if you were correct on the first two, it seems to me
There would have been 8 employees in the call center and dispatch operation. But as soon as we expanded into into the ambulance operations, we deploy 10 ambulances a day from there, and that's 2 people per ambulance.
there's 20 people.
There's
7
20.
people in your call center.
Right.
Here's a couple things to make this a little easier for you. When you're looking at, why we have zoning and we have these other things, right? As I explained earlier, we looked it up on LoopNet. We know the owner of the property is asking for $12 a square foot. Buildings and their value is determined by your gross revenue, right? And you know that. So if I'm getting $38 a foot for a 20,000 square foot building, you got a $5-6 million building. I get $12 a square foot, you got a $2 million building. That directly affects the school system's property tax that they can get. It affects the county's property tax they can get. It affects the residents or the city of Lawrence property tax that we can collect. That means there's less revenue to pay police officers, firefighters, and different things. Right? We also know that the building in front of you is Dr. Kim was in that business for 50 years, right? and he just negotiated, he's doing a multi-million-dollar build-out for a laser eye center, right, as you come in the door, right? And you're treating the property in the back like it's a warehouse, because that's the zoning classification for light manufacturing, whether it's multi-floor building or not. All right. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept this city, or the planning and zoning's recommendation.
To the public.
Yeah, we can ask the public, by all means, because it's a public hearing. Open comments? And y'all don't just stand up and just, all right, good. Hearing none, we'll go back to the original. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the planning and zoning board's recommendation and deny the request. I'm gonna put a caveat in there. You'd ask specifically for a period of time. I'm gonna respectfully ask the city council not to grant you that time because you are already under a citation to the municipal court. And the municipal court will understand that you're in violation of the zoning code of the city of Morrow. And at that point, you can make the argument to the judge, and here's why you do this, is because you can tell us a certain time period. First off, we would be telling you, yes, we agree, and there's a period of time. Well, no, we don't agree. It shouldn't happen in the first place. Right? The other one, it says, Your Honor, I'm doing the best I can. And let's say he grants you 30 days, 50 days, whatever it is. If you violate that, you're in contempt of court. That's a whole different animal than to sit there and go, I'm in violation of whatever the city council agreed to. Take me to court. We already have you in court, right? So let's bypass that. So, not to grant you any further abilities. I do think you're devaluing property in the city of Morrow. I do appreciate your locating in the city. I appreciate the fact that you're a business in the city. But somebody should have done their homework. That certainly should have been your brokers, whoever were involved in this. They should have been behind the scenes basically making it so that you could do what it is. But in this case, it's actually written there. Don't do it, right? Which means they probably did their homework. So that's internal. That's not the city of Morrow's fault. And that actions have consequences. So do I hear a motion to deny their request?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the denial of request, say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Quah?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wynn?
Aye.
Okay,
Mr.
that's
Mayor,
unanimous.
was that to deny the motion, to approve the planning zone recommendation to deny
Correct.
and not allowing the.
Correct. So basically, when you came in here, you were in violation of the zoning code. When you leave here, you're in violation of the zoning code. So that hasn't changed. We haven't granted you anything. We haven't subtracted anything. You are now, whatever your citation is that is issued through the system, you have a date. Does anybody know when he's supposed to go to court?
I think it will be the next month, Your Honor, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, what date is that?
That'll be for, I think, 4/18,
So April.
3/18, excuse me, sorry.
So April, really April, or March 18th. So that's a couple weeks. There's a municipal court process. Let's make sure that that's not manipulated, shall we? Does that work for you? I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you. All right, Morrow Police Department announcement of Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police State
They're gonna defer that
certification.
to next council meeting.
Next council meeting, sorry.
You can move to the next one.
The other one, appreciation and recognition, is all that coming in at the same time? Right. Major Woodall did some good stuff.
Come on.
Presentation and appreciation and recognition. Wanted to read it just to make sure, because I actually don't have it, but I wanted to make sure we had it.
He's got everything.
There's the written portion, which I'll read for you, that there's the story. And the story is kind of profound. So we have through a series of information that comes to the city, Morgan Tracy, and a number of others, there's a couple of citizens out there as well. And we have a gentleman on a street, an elderly gentleman who's having problems, right? And it's a known challenge for us as far as a senior. And he's not responding to any calls or any knocks on the door. And he's theoretically home, but he doesn't drive, so it'd be very difficult for us to prove that. In a normal city, then that would just be it, right? They would knock on the door, you didn't answer the door, helpful people, that would give them no reason to do anything. We're not a normal city. So in this particular case, we reached out and Major Woodall, showed up at the scene, was able to listen to the people at the scene, made a decision. They gained entry to the property. This gentleman would be dead today. That's just an absolute fact. But the story doesn't end there. So that's when you say to life. That's a fact. Okay. Then you take it upon yourself to find this person some help, and he needed some serious help. And there's others that have helped him as well. But in this particular case, we're recognizing Major Woodall because he went way up and above and beyond. He was able to communicate with the individual. He was able to get him cleaned up. He was able to get him some food. He was able to get him into a senior care facility for at least short term. And not only is the gentleman alive and well today, we've got still a lot of work to do. But without Major Woodall, you can absolutely sit there and say, we'd be over our funeral today. So, by merit of the City of Walnut, Georgia, proclamation of honor and recognition recognizing and honoring Major Mark Woodall. The primary responsibility of a law enforcement officer is to protect lives and property. And whereas police officers can be described as professional, prepared, and proactive, some traits and characteristics that are sought in police officers include being perceptive, physically fit, proactive, resourceful, respectful, responsible, reasonable, and having a sense of humor. And Major Woodall has a sense of humor. Whereas Major Mark Woodall joined the Marl Police Department in 2022 with extensive experience in law enforcement and in emergency medical expertise, and has been an asset to the City of Marl Police Department. And whereas Major Woodall has been an integral part of Marl and has established himself as a strong, noble, selfless, ambitious, and brave. And on February 11, 2025, Major Woodall, with information provided by Marty Tracy and others, was able to act heroically, which led to the preservation of human life of Kit Wynn when he was found unresponsive in his home. Now, therefore, I, John Michael Mayor of the City of Marl, join with the rest of the Marl community and the City Council to hereby recognize and honor Major Mark Woodall for heroic efforts and quick action in saving and preserving a human life. More of this story, I was telling you, he lived it.
Well, I'm honored and humbled, but I came here to recognize young persons launching into this type of career. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, I'm honored. I'm going on 37 years of police, fire, and EMS work, and it's just the nature of the beast. And so I did what I do, and I did what most anybody would do in this community. Like the mayor said, a larger police department would just be knock, 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 and, no answer. But we're afforded the opportunity with our size and scope to go above and beyond, and have the time and the backing to do things a little different than other public safety departments. So it's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to serve the citizens of Morrow and my former home county. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
That's Miss Marty Tracy. You got a little token for you. And without being perceptive. In other words, you hear something, but you didn't do something. Woodall wouldn't have been able to do what he does. So the certificate of recognition of this award is here represented Marty Tracy for the acknowledgement of her intuitive and heroic efforts that led to the preservation of human life. Morrow Mayor and Council hereby commend and recognize you.
Have a seat, this could be a For about 15 years, I had contact with Mr. Wynn. He is a gentle spirit who was, I'm sure it's a blessing that he had experiences in his life that he's had, and it's made him a challenge. And his neighbor has had challenges and was concerned about him and came to see if I could do anything. And I called Woody because he had been trying to help him and had bonded with Mr. Winton over an AK-47 or something like that.
My machine gun in my truck is just military history.
Something
And my military.
manly thing. And you know how the Lord will step in and will say something and it's like, where did that come from? And I said, could you just go over and talk to him? And that's my sum total of my participation. And but he was able to continue helping him just from that small thing. So thank you very much, and y'all keep your ears open because you're being asked to do things too.
New business. Consideration to approve the Public Works Department recommendation for the purchase of two vehicles, a 2021 Ford F-150 XLT for $32,980 and a 2022 Ford F-150 XLT in the amount of $37,998, and to authorize the mayor to execute any related documents. We had that in the public hearing. Any other questions from Mr. Baker?
Questions for me, from me?
Well,
I have no questions.
any more comments?
I'm ready to
All
move
right.
forward.
If we haven't had any, then do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Motion probably seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight? Mr. Quah?
Aye.
Ms. Wynn? And Ms. Dean?
Aye.
That was solid. All right, consideration to approve the city manager's recommendation to appoint David Lofstad, who is here tonight. Good to see you, sir. To the Planning and Zoning Board for a term of 5 years, commencing on February 25th, 2025, and expiring February 25th, 2030, and to reappoint Bonita Crawford to the Downtown Development Authority Board for a term of 4 years, beginning on February 25th, 2025, and expiring on February 25th, 2029, and to authorize the mayor to execute any related documents. Comments? Ms. Knight?
No comments.
Mr. Quah?
No comments?
Ms. Dean?
I'd just like to say, we had a wonderful Black History program this weekend. It was,
We're not there yet.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm ready to go.
Miss Wynn? Ms. Wynn?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Just a brief comment, thank you, David, and Ms. Bonita for stepping up.
You want me to go get that picture?
But Bonita, you want to make any comments? You good?
It's my honor to serve.
David? You good? All right. So that's a yes, you'd serve. All right. We got you on record right now. We're good. All right. All those in favor say aye. Miss Miss Knight. Mr. Quah.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, I think we need a motion. You need a motion.
Oh, yeah. Do I hear a motion to make those approvals?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion probably
All your
seconded.
fault.
All those in favor say aye. Miss Knight.
Aye.
Mr. Quah.
Aye.
Miss Dean. And Miss Wynn. All
All
right.
your
Congratulations. All right, and we've already handled item 3. Basically, we denied the request for the applicant for the ambulance service. And for the most part, you can see why. You're trying to protect your city. You're trying to protect your property values. There's a right place and a wrong place. There is a comprehensive plan that we follow, so it's not like somebody just makes this stuff up. And anytime you do something, you set a precedent, and that doesn't mean it stays with that particular guy, and that property could have problems. Anybody who knows Corporate Center 4000, which is right next to it, is a real challenge. And they've been working in court to get that property back up to speed as well. So That's good. Ordinances, resolutions, this one comes back to 2025-02, a resolution by the mayor and city council to opt out of the homestead exemption pursuant to OCGA 48-5-44.2 and to otherwise authorize performance of all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution and to provide an effective date for other purposes. I believe the city attorney has said we're in compliance.
Yeah, yes, sir. I believe out of abundance of caution, I'll read page and a half as much.
Bog.
I think just, they put a lot of restraints on this one as far as requirements. This is the State of Georgia City of Morrow Resolution number 2025-02. A resolution by the mayor and city council of the city of Morrow, Georgia, to opt out of the homestead exemption pursuant to OCGA 48-5-42-2, and to otherwise authorize performance of all other acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution to provide an effective date and for other purposes. Whereas OCGA 40-5-44.2, effective January 1, 2025, creates a statewide homestead exemption from ad valorem taxes levied by and for and on behalf of the state or any county, consolidated government, municipality, or other or local school district in the state. And whereas more specifically, OCGA 48-5-44.2I authorizes the governing authority of any county, consolidated government, municipality, or school district to opt out of the homestead exemption otherwise granted with respect to such political subdivision through certain procedures and the adoption of a resolution by March 1, 2025. And whereas the mayor and council of the city of Morrow, Georgia, desire to opt out of the homestead exemption otherwise granted, and whereas the mayor and council of the city of Morrow has complied with the required procedures pursuant to OCGA 48-5-42.2I, included but not limited to holding at least 3 public meetings on the intent to opt out and placing the required advertisements in the newspaper of general circulation and on its website as required. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Morrow, Georgia, and the authority thereof hereby opts out of the homestead exemption otherwise granted by OCGA 48-5-44.2. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective upon its approval by the mayor and council of the city of Morrow, Georgia, and by the authority thereof. Be it further resolved that the city attorney of the city of Morrow, Georgia, and by authority thereby is hereby directed to provide a certified copy of this resolution to the Georgia Secretary of State no later than March 1st, 2025. So resolved and adopted the 25th day of February, 2025.
Do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2025-02?
Mayor.
Strike through will fix.
That's what the attorney said.
Do you not know what city you're in?
I just stand in Victor's defense here. That was not him.
All right. But we'll fix that part though.
Right.
That's a fun time, wasn't it? All right. Irrespective of what's written there, do we make a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yes,
25-02
we can. I will make the change.
with an obvious change of Morrow, Georgia.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Quad?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wynn?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, now we get down to the fun part. Comments from the citizens.
Well, since I did attend the Black History Month, the young people that did those movies, they were really deep. And a lot of thought went in there, and we have some wonderfully gifted children. And I hope they, continue on, because that's a growth of their mind. It was really good. Thank you.
Ms. Bonilla.
I just wanted to thank the city of Morrow for providing a wonderful, just an amazing Black History presentation. And my family loved it. The vendors were great. So thank you very much for all the hard work that went into it and everything like that. Thank you.
Other comments?
I got one.
Maybe?
I want to thank everybody in here for the condolences regarding my father, Lester Allen Woodall's death. Dad was 82 and died on January 25th. In light of Black History Month, my dad served in the 3rd Army Airborne Fort Bragg in 1964, enlisting as a reservist while he was working for Southern Airways. In 1965 March, Lyndon Baines Johnson declared martial law after the Bloody Sunday of the attempted march from Selma to Montgomery. My dad's unit was activated to escort the third attempt to Montgomery because the first two were bloodied by the locals and the police and the troopers. The marching orders from the Attorney General, rules of engagement, and that was martial law, and my father's unit was locked and loaded with M1 Garands 30-06, and they escorted them to Montgomery. And their rules of engagement were to kill anyone who offered violence to the march, including local police and highway patrol. And my dad was proud of that, and that was a profound piece of history for Lester Allen Woodall, my father.
Comments from the city council?
Ms.
I'll
J.
let him go first, you missed me. First thing I wanna talk about is water. I know that, we've had problems with, Clay County Water Authority, and since we build these big retaining things, I can't see that they do any good, because I live right below one, that's on the other side of Lake Harbin. I had my own creek the other week, and then I ended up with my own lake and creek. And I know that, Mr. Baker and Victor both, we have looked at the creek that goes across the Harbor Woods, and it's even worse than it was, and we keep getting not good answers from Clay County Water Authority, but, you know, it's ridiculous that we end up, they insist that they put those pond things in. It has done no good, because when we have super rains like that, my property's always flooded back down there. And, the other thing is, the drains on the street. Of course, Lake Harbin is bad, but there are some that are totally clean, and I figured that the citizen that lives there had to have cleaned them out, because everything got so flooded that other day when we had all that rain and stuff. My other comment is on the marquee out here, the advertisements. There are two out there that say we should go to two other cities and go shopping. Don't stay here in Morrow or Clayton County. Some of them are not even in English, so nobody can read them. The things that really need to be out there in that marquee are things advertising what is important to this community. Special elections, there's one going on right now, and there are a lot of people that have no idea that there's an election going on, what it's even about. Council meetings, the Wednesday, like last Wednesday, we should have had a post out there that we're having a council meeting with the date, work session 6:30, council meeting 7:30. You don't leave it out there the whole time, you take it down the day afterward. You do the same thing for when you're gonna have the council meeting on the 4th Tuesday. Planning and zoning meetings need to be out there. You know, I've heard.
Appreciate you all for that. The Black History Month celebration and the student driven film festival were a phenomenal offering to the community, and we appreciated the festivities and the activities that day, and we appreciate the city staff that really assisted in bringing that to life. So I thank you all.
Mr. Clark.
I'd like to add the mayor comment about Mr. Woodall, that what he done. Mr. Kidwin, I mean, this community and city and community challenge for many, many years, and we've been dealing with him for a long time, and I understand how hard it is to deal with him. He's somewhat losing his mind, and it's easy for us to say just just helping somebody, but that man is really hard to deal with, and he chose not to use any water service or nor gas nor electricity, so he doesn't shower, and he's filthy dirty. He's really hard stay near. And then I'd like to thank to the fire department people that have been with Mr. Widow to deal with him. I mean, Widow had to cut his claw to clean him. And he didn't have to do all that. And I really appreciate what you do, sir. Thank you very much.
Misty,
Yes, I would also like to thank you, Officer Woodall, for the city and the community. You do a stellar job. You're always present, and we appreciate you, the department, fire department, public works. You don't get, the public doesn't see all the things that you do like we do it, and we appreciate it, and to your father. And what she said about Black History.
Ms. May.
Congratulations to Bunny and David. Good job.
Greatly, thank you, Mayor Woodall and Tracy, for your heroic act. Really make the highlight our city better because of your service. Thank you, appreciate that. And congratulations, Ms. Bonita and David, for your nomination, and we're looking forward to work with you in the next 4 or 5 years. The Black History Month is beautiful, the art and theme. Greatly appreciate that the city staff, the mayor, Mr. Baker and council here for supporting the Black History event, and hopefully we will have bigger and better event next coming years. Thank you.
Unless y'all got something else, I'm good. Y'all have a good evening.